If you run AI agents with Google MCP Toolbox, or expose ComfyUI for image generation workflows, check patch status now. The practical risk is not theoretical AI hype, it is unauthorized tool execution, server-side requests into internal networks, OAuth audience confusion, stored browser script execution, and path traversal around model or workflow files. Upgrade fixed versions and reduce exposure before these tools sit behind production data. The lead item is Google MCP Toolbox. NVD lists several CVEs and versions through 1.4.0. CVE 2026-14537 is high severity and affects the direct HTTP API tool invocation endpoint. In vulnerable versions, an unauthenticated attacker may invoke tools that were intended to be protected by the scope-required feature. For an agent platform, tool invocation is a security boundary. A tool may query data, call APIs, modify tickets, or trigger business workflows. Treat any exposed MCP endpoint like an application control plane, not like a simple chat interface. Two more MCP Toolbox issues matter for cloud and enterprise deployments. CVE 2026-14540 is high-severity server-side request forgery in generic HTTP source and tool components. The defensive concern is whether tool parameters can cause back-end requests to internal services, metadata endpoints, or private APIs. CVE 2026-14541 is high-severity authentication bypass and audience confusion in the Google OAuth provider when MCP support is enabled without an explicitly defined audience or client ID. The fix path is to upgrade to a corrected release, verify the Google pull request guidance, define expected OAuth audiences, and add network egress allow lists around agent infrastructure. The second cluster is ComfyUI, a popular node-based diffusion model GUI, API, and backend. NVD lists multiple high-severity issues fixed in ComfyUI 0.28.0. CVE 2026-56670 and CVE 2026-56672 involve serving uploaded or user-controlled SVG and HTML content in ways that can create stored cross-site scripting in the ComfyUI origin. CVE 2026-56671 and CVE 2026-56673 involve file name handling paths that can allow traversal outside expected model or workflow directories. These issues are especially important where ComfyUI is shared by teams, exposed through tunnels, or connected to valuable model weights, credentials, or browser sessions. There is also a Chrome AI component CVE worth noting. CVE 2026-17991 is listed by NVD as critical for Google Chrome before 151.0.7922.72. It is described as insufficient validation of untrusted input in the AI component that could potentially contribute to sandbox escape after render or compromise. For most viewers, the action is simple: update Chrome and managed browser fleets, then confirm enterprise policies actually deploy the patched version across Windows, Mac OS, Linux, Android, iOS, and Chrome OS where applicable. Here is the broader pattern across these stories. Agent and AI workflow tools are becoming control planes. They connect model prompts to real actions, HTTP requests, database reads, file operations, ticket changes, browser sessions, cloud credentials, and model repositories. That means ordinary web application bugs can have outsized impact when they sit inside an automation pipeline. A missing authorization check is not just a login issue if the reachable tool can query sensitive systems. SSRF is not just a networking bug if the tool runner can reach private cloud metadata, internal dashboards, or service-to-service APIs. Stored XSS is not just a browser nuisance if the ComfyUI origin is open in an administrator session with access to workflows and local resources. For builders, the lesson is to design AI tooling with least privilege from day one. Do not give a general-purpose agent runner the same network reach as a trusted production service unless every tool call is explicitly authorized and observable. Put tool servers behind identity-aware access, keep admin interfaces off the public internet, and separate development sandboxes from production credentials. When a tool requires OAuth, pin the expected audience and client identifiers instead of accepting broad tokens. When a tool fetches URLs, use outbound allow lists and deny cloud metadata addresses by default. When a workflow accepts uploads, render untrusted content as downloads or sanitize it, rather than serving active SVG or HTML in the same trusted origin. For security teams, today's action is triage and evidence. Inventory where MCP Toolbox is running, which versions are deployed, whether the direct HTTP API is reachable, and whether scope required is relied on for sensitive actions. Check whether generic HTTP tools can reach internal RFC 1918 ranges, localhost, or cloud metadata endpoints. Review OAuth configuration for explicit audience or client ID settings. For ComfyUI, identify shared instances, tunnels, remote workstations, and hosted notebooks. Confirm version 0.28.0 or later, rotate exposed secrets if an instance was public, and review recent workflow files and model preview access. For browsers, verify the Chrome version with device management telemetry rather than assuming auto-update completed. There is uncertainty to separate from confirmed facts. The confirmed facts in this briefing are the CVE records, product names, affected components, severity where available, and vendor or project fixed status referenced by NVD links. The analysis is the defensive interpretation, why authorization, SSRF, OAuth audience checks, stored script execution, and path traversal matter more inside AI automation environments. This video does not claim active exploitation unless a cited source says so, and it does not include exploit payloads or reproduction steps. The goal is prioritization, fix exposed agent and workflow infrastructure before attackers turn a control plane bug into data access or operational disruption. Today's defensive checklist: upgrade Google MCP Toolbox, ComfyUI to 0.28.0, and Chrome to 151.0.7922.72 or later, block unauthenticated access to MCP and ComfyUI endpoints, require OAuth audience and client ID checks, place agent tools behind explicit authorization, restrict egress to approved destinations, keep cloud metadata services unreachable from AI tool runners, treat uploaded SVG and HTML as dangerous content, and audit recent tool invocations, OAuth configuration changes, uploads, workflow changes, model preview paths, and model file access. Sources are in the description. This is a defensive briefing only, with no exploit commands, payloads, or attack chain walkthroughs.